Even Kamen Rider fans have to start somewhere.
Kamen Rider.
With so many unique riders, different types of seasons, and awesome suits, new Rider fans might find it difficult deciding where to even start, or which season to watch next. So I put together this list of the top 10 best Kamen Rider seasons for new viewers. And of course, let me know your list in the comments.
The sky turns to a rider kick.
Number 10 is 01. Being the first series in the Reiwa era, this show acts as a clean slate for the series, and you don't need to have watched any of the other seasons before watching this one. The story of this season is really cool, and also really relevant to today's events, having to do with AI and technology. The main protagonist of this season is Aruto Hiden, who is a former comedian before becoming CEO of Hiden Intelligence. They make Humagears, who are basically androids to assist people in their day-to-day lives, and they perform functions as a real person would, except they don't have to pay them a salary. This series has some great characters that I really like, including one of my favorites, Hirobi, who is the leader of MetsubouJinrai.net, a faction of rogue Humagears who are intent upon bringing the extinction of humans. We also have Yaiba and Fua, better known as Kamen Rider Valkyrie and Vulcan. These two are awesome and they have a great back and forth type relationship. This is also one of the easiest to view Kamen Rider seasons in the West, and I bet if you were to Google where to watch it, you would find a lot of streaming services. Number 9 is Kamen Rider Oz. If you're looking for a Kamen Rider season with a lot of forms, this one is an excellent choice. Henshining in this season is based around metals, and Kamen Rider Oz uses a combination of 3 metals to henshin.
Henshin.
And this allows him to basically mix and match different forms, and it gives this show a great deal of variety in character. Our protagonist is Hino Eiji, who dresses like a hobo and really loves underwear. But he has a heart of gold and he's selfless. He would gladly sacrifice himself for someone else, making him very heroic. Also, you have Ankh, who's just kind of a jerk, but entertaining nonetheless. You have the Greeds, ancient creatures that seek to feed off of the dark desires of humans, or their greed.
Happy birthday, dear. Oz.
The season also has one of my favorite non-rider characters, in Kogami-san, one of the most eccentric and captivating characters in the history of the series. Number 8 is Kamen Rider Gotchard. It is the current season at the time of me making this video, and this is a season that you don't need to have watched previous seasons to enjoy. The theme of this season is alchemy, and there are creatures named Kimis. I think if you're a fan of Full Metal Alchemist, or even Pokemon, then you'll probably enjoy this season. There are many Kimis, and they're very unique from one another. So far the story has been pretty good. Gotchard already has quite a few unique forms, and when I say unique, I mean kinda strange, but in a good way. Number 7 is Kamen Rider Kabuto. This is a great standalone season, and one that I don't honestly see get talked about enough. Another season with a great collection of riders, including Gatak, The Bee, Punch and Kick Hopper, Drake, Sasodo, and of course, Kabuto himself. Our main protagonist is Tindo Soji, who is a bit of a chef, and he's constantly cooking food for his sister.
Kamen!
If you're a fan of Food Network type shows, as well as Kamen Rider, this would be a good season for you. Because never have I ever watched a Toku show that made me hungrier than watching Kamen Rider Kabuto. One of my favorites. Next up is Kamen Rider Dino. In Japan, this was one of the most popular shows in the history of Toku, and it's easy to see why. The theme of this one is based around Imogens. These Imogens will essentially possess our lead protagonist, Ryataro, and imbue upon him their own unique personalities. See, Ryataro himself is pretty much a wimp, and he would be completely incapable of being a rider on his own. But the Imogens possess him, and this allows him to be able to fight. Dino and the Imogens travel through time on the Din liner. In Japanese, Dinsha means train, hence Kamen Rider Dino. Number 5 is Kamen Rider W. As a sucker for green and purple, I love the look of Cyclone Joker. And essentially with this season, you have 2 riders that merge into one, those riders being Sho and Philip. When the 2 of them combine together, they become Kamen Rider W. This show has maybe the best intro in the history of Kamen Rider. The song is called Double BX Double Boiled Extreme, which is a mouthful, I know. And it is performed by Kamiki Aya, who is the singer for one of my absolute favorite Japanese bands, Ouroboros. Do yourself a favor and check them out. And also, I have to mention Museum as being an excellent evil organization. Potentially the best since Shocker themselves. Do yourself a favor and watch W. Number 4 is Kamen Rider Yuki, one of the most popular seasons, and it's easy to see why. There are a lot of riders here. I mean, a lot of riders. My favorite being Oja, who is Cobra themed. But you know what? Yuki himself looks pretty awesome in his own right. Just look how unique his helmet is. And who doesn't love dragons? And I especially love the survive forms of this season. It's just a really easy season to watch and enjoy. And you know, they jump into windows and reflective surfaces. So that's pretty cool, right? Number 3 is Kamen Rider Gyo. This is a celebration season, or anniversary season, whatever you want to call it. And because of that, there are a lot of throwbacks from previous seasons. It's basically baked into the very fabric of this show. Kamen Rider Gyo and Kamen Rider Gaze form switch into forms that are based on the previous riders. So it's not just seeing the previous riders, it's seeing them in a new way. This naturally lends itself to the time theme, being that this is an adventure that spans throughout history and the future. It's very cool, very entertaining, and if you just want to have a sneak peek at some of the other seasons to see what looks cool to you, this would be a good place to start. Number 2 is the original Kamen Rider, the OG classic. This show is absolutely bleeding with style. From the iconic original outfits, to the look of Ambassador Hell, even the henchmen in this season, the Shocker combatmen, are extremely recognizable and iconic. I mentioned Shocker earlier, but they have to be the most well-known evil organization in all of Toku. You have Hayato and Takeshi, and they're both awesome writers. If you're only used to watching newer Toku seasons, it might be a bit jarring because of the age of the show. But if you can get past the lower quality special effects, I think this is a series that's still worth your time after all these years. And you know what, guys, before we get to number 1, you know that not everybody can make the list, so here's some honorable mentions for you.
仮面ライダー
And now, what I believe is the #1 best Kamen Rider for new viewers that you should absolutely watch is Kamen Rider Black. This show is dark and gritty. It's a far cry from other Kamen Rider seasons.
お前は
ここはゴルゴムのアトリエです。
The story here is incredibly dark and mature, having to do with Minami Kotaro and his efforts to rescue his brother. I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers here, but this story is one of heartbreak and sadness. Minami Kotaro is an S-tier Kamen Rider. Played by the legendary Kurata Tetsuo, he conveys so much emotion throughout his performance that you will be drawn into the story.
どうしたブラックさん生き返って強くなったのはその程度か
The show also has maybe the coolest evil Kamen Rider of all time, and that is Shadow Moon. I mean, just look at this guy. The intro to this series is extremely catchy, and visually it's edited in a very cool way that emphasizes Kamen Rider Black on his motorcycle. The outro is also very sad, and it will make you feel for Minami Kotaro.
Mother Hopper!
Ultimately, this season was like catching lightning in a bottle. Everything just clicks into place. It's almost perfect. But you know what, guys? That's just my list. Let me know yours in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a ton to me if you would smack the shit out of that like button. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Bye!